Hello everybody, Kat here. Thanks for joining me today. It is soon going to be a new year, so I thought I would do a quick little video to wish you all a very happy new year and to tell you how grateful I am that you subscribe and that you watch my videos and that you like them. It's really been a highlight of my year. So I'd like to wish you a cheers. I'd like to say cheers to you. So I have 2 glasses here. These are wine, but they're kind of supposed to be champagne flutes. So you can change these if you like. I'll show you how I went about doing the drawing. I'll include a sketch at the end of the video. So what I did was I took a little piece of, I often use wax paper because it's translucent and I can trace if I need to, but I just fold it in half and I cut a shape that looked like a wine glass shape to me, and I just placed it somewhere on. This is going to be a card for a friend, and so I just traced it in this is a watercolor white pencil. This is, I don't know if you're gonna see this if it's too bright. It's called Staedtler. I have the Derwent ink tints, but it's a little bit dull, and this one was nice and sharp, so I chose this one. And it's a very pale drawing. What I'm going to use to do the painting is my opaque, it's called Opaque White by Van Gogh. It's like $5 or $6 for a tube here in Canada. And I think it's terrific watercolor white. I have many, this is my Winsor & Newton set, and there's a white that I never use. So I really like to come up with ideas where I can use my white paints. So then of course I trace it and I place them where they look like they're clinking. And then I made a tiny little cutout for this, for the this not the stem, the bottom of the stem, the support kind of thing, and I traced that out just so that the glasses were very similar, because sometimes when I'm drawing, and I can't really erase this, I have black paper. If you don't have black paper, take your black paint, your watercolor, paint it, and make sure it is 100% dry, and then you can do the same thing. And I also have, I'm going to be using, this is watercolor liquid. This is liquid watercolor. It's gold. I hope you can see that. I'm just trying this out. I've been on the hunt for good gold watercolors. So I'm going to give this a try while we're painting together. So to start with, I'm going to do the outline of the glass. In addition to the paints, I have a few brushes. I have a brush here that's kind of, I like to blend with this brush. And I like to use this brush. I don't know if you can see the point on that. It has a nice point. So that's what I'm going to be doing the outline of the glass with. And I'm going to wet that. And I'm going to outline the glass. So we're going to put some white. I'm not going to trace the entire thing. And I'm just going to dab it here and there. Now the light in the picture is on this side. And right here. And right here. So I'm going to wet my brush. And I'm going to let it kind of bleed. Now white, being an opaque color, when you have an opaque watercolor, they don't bleed the same way as a transparent one does. It's just, it's kind of like, the way I look at it is it's a little bit thicker in order to make it opaque. More water on my brush, and I'm going to do a soft white line up here. Because water has all kinds, glass has all kinds of reflections on it, doesn't it? And I'm going to come down the edge, nice and watery, because I want to kind of blend that away. Now I'm wetting my brush, and I'm just going to run it up in the middle of the two white lines I just made so that it'll softly bleed in. And I'm going to use the thicker part, and I'm just going to tickle the edge here and there so it's not like an entirely thick straight line. And then I'm going to add a few white spots, and then around here we'll just make some white in there, and I think that will do. Now on a wine glass, often because of the reflections, it looks almost solid down here. Or any glass actually, at the bottom, depending on the shape. It looks almost solid. So that's how we're going to leave that one. And we're going to go work on this one. I'm working on mixed media black paper. If you, like I said, if you don't have that, you can always use the watercolor paper and paint it black first. Okay, so now I'm going to do this side. So this one definitely has a white shadow here, and I'm using pretty watery paint. And if you want to look at pictures online of champagne flutes and wine glasses, you can always do that too to help you out. I kind of like the image. I took this drawing from a few images, so that's why I'm not showing you the actual image because there's too many. And I like it because it doesn't have like a super colorful background, and that's why I thought of doing the black, because when there's a lot of color in the background, all those lights reflect into the glass, and that's a bit complicated. And some people, I mean, just because you paint all the time doesn't mean you can paint everything. You know, well, you can practice for sure, but I don't paint glass all that well. I'll tell you a YouTuber that does, and that is Lindsay. Her name is Lindsay Wyrick. She is fabulous at painting glass. I'm just doing a bit of a second coat over here because I think it was a bit watery. And so when you water down white paint, it goes a little more gray. It loses its intensity. And just going to do that. And come in around here. Okay, we'll just, as you see, that's a little bit grayed down. So now I can add a bit more whites, make it look a little more intense. It doesn't have to be white. So if you have Dr. P.H. Martin bleed proof white, you can use that too. I didn't want to use that on this project because not everybody has that. Okay, so just keep where you think it's missing a bit of intensity and it needs it, add it. So I'm going down the edges as I did before. I'm trying not to move my, I would recommend you turn your work. I'm trying not to do that because I don't want to get misplaced in my, in my window. think I have a bit too much in here, but that's okay. I'll just add a little water with a bit of a scrubbing motion, and that should all blend okay. A little bit more white here, a little bit here. And we can play with the intensity later. For now, I think that's good. So the next step is to make sure this is completely dry. Now that this is dry, I'm going to take my gold liquid watercolor. And it's the first time I'm trying it, so I hope I like it. It has a nice little squeeze, a spout. And if you don't have this, you can use a color like raw sienna. When you water down raw sienna, I'll show you. See, it looks like a little bit of like a champagne color. You can also add some of that white in too if you find it too dark. And that would work. So now here's where I'm going to use my softer brush. I'm going to take some of that and kind of water it down because this is watercolor, so I can add water to this. And I'm going to try to make this, because the glass is being tipped, I'm going to make it sort of come around like that. And don't forget it's watercolor, so it's going to dry a bit lighter. And then this one too I'm going to, but it's not going to be, it's not as tilted as this one. So I'm going to maybe go this way. Oops, that's a bit too thick. The reason I don't want it to be too thick is I want you to see the white highlights of the glass still. But it's okay if they don't show. I mean, this is just a fun little card I'm making for a friend of mine who is quite a good listener this year, and I appreciate her. So now I also wanted to add, I want it to look like, you know, there's some spilling out here. So I'm going to put some of that gold paint on my brush, and I'm going to, oop, I better block the back so that I don't mess the whole card. I'll cover the back of it, and then I'm gonna splash this beautiful gold. And then I think to add a bit of decoration, I'm going to do some swirls of gold. So I'm going to use the more concentrated gold. And I'm just going to swirl around. And if you don't like your stems, this is the perfect way to sort of cover them up, and it'll hide a multitude of sins. Just to make it look festive. Make your swirls go all different ways. Just make it look like it's some streamers flying through the air. I don't know about everybody else, but I won't be sad to see this year end. Let's put that in a more positive way. I will be happy to see a new year begin. How's that? Now I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to see if I need to add more white highlights, and that will be it. Okay, so while this gold is still a little damp, I'm going to go in with my small brush and a little bit watery. Kind of milky consistency, and I'm using a pretty small brush. You can use a bigger one. But I thought that I would drop in some white right directly into that gold where some of the highlights on the glass are covered by the gold, the champagne. These little brushes can hold so much water. They're so deceiving. Tiny, tiny little brushes that I got. They're called Virtuoso. And I got a case of them, and they're just fantastic. Okay, so we'll do this one. So right here. Okay, I'm going to go around the edges again with some creamier paint. Just softening some of the areas where I didn't have enough water on my brush. Okay, so I sprayed a tiny bit more, I splashed a little bit more gold paint at the bottom, and then I'm going to fold this in half lengthwise, and I'm going to write my message inside, and it'll be done. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you give it a try. If you did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. And have a very happy new year, everyone. Thanks for watching. Happy watercoloring. Bye-bye.